We're out here in the wild Gulf of Alaska, sailing south along this rugged coast.
The wind is definitely building out here, surfing down the waves at 7.5, 8 knots sometimes.
But on a day like today, there is absolutely no cooking happening down in our galley. The mountainous headlands offer little reprieve, but tucked into its indentations lies a hidden oasis. This has got to be one of the most amazing places we've ever been. We're tucked safely into a rocky fold on the rugged coast of the Gulf of Alaska. Beyond the shelter of the headland, the Pacific swell crashes against the shallow rocks. But in here, it's blissfully calm. We've been anchored here for a few days, soaking in the most incredible hot springs just a short hike through the forest. Hi, Bear. Here, natural pools steam with mineral water bubbling up from the earth. In a rustic, timber-framed bathhouse overlooking the ocean. This has got to be one of the most amazing places we have ever been. It's just absolutely incredible, this view. It's easy to forget the outside world when you're here. For a moment, the chaos of everything fades away. After weeks navigating through the ice-filled bays near the glaciers, it's been so lovely to enjoy some slow time here thawing out.
We had a lovely time. It is so nice here. Oh, I wish we could just stay here for weeks, if not months. Maybe even just live here at White Sulphur Hot Springs. I'm sure it'd be the most amazing experience in the winter when there's snow outside and it's just blowing a gale and you could close the doors and the bathhouse would be so warm and lovely. Oh. But definitely one of my favorite stops here.
It's really difficult to leave places like this. We could probably stay here for weeks. This bathhouse is so beautiful. Stunning hot spring pools, just natural in the forest, overlooking our sailboat. Just is absolutely stunning here. Reaching places like this is what this cruising lifestyle is all about. Raw, remote, and completely unforgettable. But what we've also come to know about this lifestyle is that comfort doesn't last for long. Well, it's feeling very, very difficult to leave this place because it's so amazing. This is like the third time that we've been soaking here. Haven't had anybody here the last 2 days. It was really, really nice to share this experience with the friends that we met in Pelican a couple days ago, and they have since sailed on because the wind is really good right now, and I think we should be doing the same. Today we're supposed to get a really beautiful northwesterly blow, about 15 to 25 knots, which could puff us, probably not as far as Sitka, it's about another 50 nautical miles, but could puff us a good ways down the coast. So I think we're gonna wrap up our time here at White Sulphur Hot Springs, and we'll leave this for someone else to enjoy. Hopefully we'll be back someday, but you never know. But this place has been absolutely incredible.
It's been a lovely couple of days here in West Arm. The hot springs are absolutely incredible. Like, they blew my mind. I haven't seen hot springs that nice, like, ever. Met some really cool people here as well, so that was really fun. Dinner was nice, but yeah, we got to get out of here because the wind has been picking up to like 25 knots each like afternoon around midday, and with the breaking swells and the shallow exit here, we want to get going well and truly before there's anything that really kind of messes up the boat. There's tons of rocks in this anchorage and tons of kelp, so we want to try to get the hook out of the ground while we don't have the boat shifting around too much with the wind or anything. So we just got to cut the stern line, take that down, swing around, put the dinghy on deck, hold the hook, and we'll get out of here.
Okay. So we're gonna pack up the boat here, get the dinghy on deck, make her seaworthy, and get out offshore. Really narrow passage, very shallow. It's amazing though, you can actually see the bottom. The water is so clear, which isn't normal for what we deal with. It's usually really dark and murky. Super cool to see the bottom, makes me want to snorkel. This narrow pass is no joke. It's shallow, littered with rocks and thick ribbons of kelp. A twisting maze of hazards that's easy to misjudge. It's low tide right now, so most of the rocks are out of the water, so we can visually see them, and we're also able to follow our track back out. We came in a few days ago when conditions were manageable. Threading the needle through the entrance, guarded by reefs and pounding swell. Whew, a bit nerve-wracking. Yikes. Rocks, support. Whew, heart is racing. Dicey. But we made it in, so we know we can make it back out. We just need to stay sharp and pay attention. Yeah, that is definitely a rock.
So I gotta go pretty close to this one. Yeah? Yeah? I'm in like 17 feet. How shallow does it look? Okay. Back turn.
With some careful guiding, yelling back and forth over our tractor engine, we eventually made it out safe and sound.
We just followed our track on the way back out, dodged a little bit of kelp and it was a-okay. Really narrow though, so just take it nice and slow and you'll be alright. But yeah, we're just getting back out. There's a good bit of breeze flowing in here. We just got to get around the south side of Fairway Rock and then we can turn back out into the Pacific.
As we clear the last of the narrow paths, the shelter of West Arm fades behind us. Ahead, nothing but open ocean, the steady rhythm of rolling swells stretching out to the horizon. This is where the Pacific shows its size, with waves that remind you how small your boat really is. We've got a weather window to sail south, and we're taking it. But even on a good day, the Gulf doesn't offer much comfort. Out here, everything feels earned. Every mile, every anchorage, and every calm moment. We're just gonna motor out here past the rocks and then put some sails up. Got a beautiful northwesterly breeze, probably around 15 knots. There's some white caps on the water, but the sea state is pretty calm so far today. So yeah, let's get on out here and throw some sails up. With the swell rolling steady out of the west, we hoist the main and settle in for a downwind run. We put a reef in, just enough to stay balanced without overpowering the boat. The wind out here can build quickly, and we'd rather be ready before we need to be. We rigged a preventer on the boom, not something we sail without when running deep downwind, especially in open water. A sudden jibe in this swell, not worth the risk. With the sails trimmed and the boat steady, we fall into a rhythm, surfing gently down long ocean rollers, the kind that remind you how far this water has traveled. No engine, just the sounds of the wind and waves. Course set for whatever's next.
Well, this is absolutely lovely now, isn't it? We get to see the beautiful coastal range, the glorious mountains up near Glacier Bay behind us, and we've got just a nice 15-knot breeze steadily pushing us downwind. We're just running on the rear quarter, sailing, you know, on a nice run, I don't know, broad reach. We don't know sailing terms, and neither do you. But yeah, it's gorgeous. That's for all you non-sailors out there. Why even tell you? It's coming from that direction. Anyway, we've got the first reef in because it is meant to pick up a little bit throughout the day, and we're still clipping along at 5.5 knots, so that's pretty good for us anyway. So no need to have it all the way up. It's meant to be gusting into the low 20s around lunchtime and this afternoon. So we'll see how it goes. Yesterday it picked up pretty decently throughout the day. Today is meant to be a little bit diminished, but still with some pretty nice wind. Hopefully we'll make it most of the way down to Sitka today. I think we'll get anywhere between 30 and 50 miles out of the day, I reckon. Should be beautiful.
Days like this are rare in the Gulf of Alaska. The sun out, the sky wide open, just enough wind to let the sails do their work and keep us moving steadily along. To leeward, rugged islands rise from the sea, steep forested slopes, granite cliffs, and distant snowfields. It's hard to tell where the ocean ends and the mountains begin. Everything just folds into the horizon. really, really beautiful out here. The mountains along this coastline look very, very similar to something you see in Hawaii. Really, really beautiful. Very volcanic looking. Just stunning. Absolutely beautiful scenery today. Out here feels truly wild. And we're thankful that for a brief moment in time, the Gulf is giving us her softer side.
You can't get too complacent around here. There's still telegraph poles like floating around in the ocean. So you gotta keep a sharp lookout.
This is one reason folks are nervous to travel overnight around here. Then there's all the fishing gear. And while you're on the lookout, sometimes the ocean surprises you with a brief moment you're glad you didn't miss. Just caught a glimpse of an albatross. That was so cool. Was not expecting to see one out here today. There's such majestic creatures, and there's lots of supernatural folklore in the sailing mariner world related to those birds. Gliding on the wind with ancient grace. In sailor folklore, the albatross is more than just a bird. It's a messenger, a spirit of the lost, guiding those who follow the sea. Masters of the wind, they ride ocean air without effort. With wingspans stretching over 3 meters, they can soar for thousands of miles without flapping, and go years without ever touching land. They can also sleep while flying and produce their own fresh water, perfectly adapted for life on the ocean. To see one is considered a good omen.
I've not seen an albatross in quite some time. They are absolutely beautiful birds.
The last time we've seen an albatross was when we were sailing in the South Pacific, crossing from Australia to New Zealand. Really, really cool to see one out here, especially with the mountain backdrop, just gliding effortlessly along. Really, really neat. Well, it's been 4 hours sailing out here, and we've done 24 nautical miles, which is pretty quick sailing for us. It's about 6 knots an hour. Definitely making miles out here on the coast. Not sure if we'll make it as far as Sitka today. We've done half the trip so far. We'll see how much further we make it.
Well, we drive the boat so that we can kind of change the direction that we're heading downwind. That way we can continue to move south along Sitka Island down to Maranoff. Always a little nerve-wracking driving the main when we're out sailing in the swell. Like, tacking the boat upwind, like the boom doesn't swing very far, but when you're driving, you move the boom from being way up on port to being way out to starboard. And if you do it really quickly, you can damage the gooseneck that attaches the boom to the mast, and then if that breaks, then you've lost your whole mainsail, which is a terrible thing to have happen to you. So I'm always really nervous when we come to doing it, when there's a lot of pressure on the sail. So with the preventers tied up, we just let kind of backwind the main, which makes the boat heel quite a bit, but then you can gently release the preventer line to allow the boom to move over in a controlled manner. There's lots of other different ways you can do it, but that's just the way that Al and I have been doing it lately since we've been learning how to sail the boat better in big swells. Because it's a lot more rolly, and you want to have good boom control when you're moving it across so that you don't like scone any of us in the head and go overboard and die, because that's just not fun. It's not what we're trying to achieve here. We'd like to live. Well, the wind is definitely building out here. Not a lot, just a little bit. We're just clipping along now at, you know, hull speed, surfing down the waves at 7.5, 8 knots sometimes. It's pretty fun. It's a pretty amazing day of sailing thus far. We're just trying to get out around this big rocky shoal that's closer to shore. Lots of rocks over there. We just want to make sure that we're well and truly outside of it so that we don't run ourselves into any trouble here.
By now, Uinta's starting to feel pretty overpowered. Sails pulling hard, making the helm feel heavy. So we're taking in the head sail, reducing canvas to keep the boat balanced as the wind builds. With less sail out, the boat feels more under control. Out here, we're not chasing speed. We're chasing comfort and a rhythm with the sea. Normally we take great pride in our meals aboard Uinta, but on a day like today there is absolutely no cooking happening down in our galley. We don't have one of those fancy gimbaled stoves, so yeah, there's no cooking happening when we are offshore in these big waves. We've got one can of dolmades left, so that is what's for lunch.
So graceful.
Luckily, I'll take any excuse to have dolmades for lunch because they're one of my favorite snacks. So yummy. And I could probably eat a can of these every day. It's our last one though, so we really gotta enjoy it. Does anyone else know what these are? I've seen another sailing channel eating these and I felt instantly connected. I was like, we are kindred spirits. Because it's like a random snack, but it's my favorite snack. Yum.
We're just heading into Salisbury Sound, which is kind of the junction of Chicagof Island, Baranof Island, and Kurzgoff Island, I think it's called. Something like that. Anyway, Salisbury Sound, and then we can take a protected passage down into Sitka Sound. We didn't want to sail all the way around into Sitka through the Sound because it adds like an extra 30 nautical miles onto the trip, and we'd have to turn back up and then beat back into this swell and, you know, 20 knots of upwind to get back into the Sound, into Sitka, and that's just going to make for a really long day. So we're going to duck into Salisbury Sound and then head down through the strait and further on down to Sitka. Not quite sure where we'll end up tonight, but either way, it's a beautiful day out here.
We're entering Salisbury Sound now. The wind and the waves have really chilled out, so we just shook the reef, going about 5 knots or so. We've sailed about 30 nautical miles today, and we are thinking that we are going to head into the first anchorage here on Kruzof Island. into Callanan Bay. There is supposed to be a nice hike to Sea Lion Cove from there. All around protected, nice bay. So we're gonna go check that out. The rush of the Gulf gives way to the stillness of Alaska's inner coast. The swell still chasing us in, but softening with every mile. Ahead of us, calm water, tree-lined hills, and the quiet promise of a sheltered bay. We round the final point and slip into Callanan Bay, a stunning anchorage tucked behind the protection of the mountainous coastline. A river spills into the sea, and we're completely surrounded by magic. We made it into the anchorage after an absolutely beautiful day of sailing, feeling pretty sun-kissed, windswept, salty. It's a beautiful anchorage. We're the only boat in here, which is pretty hard to believe because I think it's one of the more popular anchorages that's close to Sitka. And so we're the only ones here. There's salmon jumping absolutely everywhere in this bay right now. It's pretty majestic. Do you hear them?
They're such a tease.
It's crazy. Admittedly, we did try fishing for like an hour and we didn't catch anything. We didn't get a single bite actually, and we're feeling a little bit deflated about that. But you know what? They're probably running the rivers right now and maybe they're not hungry. Maybe it's not us. Maybe it's them. Maybe it is us. Maybe we're terrible fishermen. I don't know.
Let us know in the comments.
Let us know in the comments. Can you catch fish when they're running the rivers, or are they just like not hungry? The sun is in my eyes.
It's pretty frustrating that the salmon don't want to bite. Seems to be the story of my life with fishing. It's like you just put the thing in the water and move it around and just nothing happens. Usually you end up either catching yourself or an inanimate object. That's been my experience with fishing. So give us some tips down in the comments if you have any suggestions of how we could improve our fishing game. But yeah, this bay is really, really nice. I imagine there's probably some bears up in the estuary. There's a pretty cool hike out to a beach out on the west coast of the island, which I don't know if we're going to get to, but it's there if you want to go check it out. But apart from that, I think we're just going to tuck her in for the night, take it nice and easy, rest up, and we'll probably check the weather forecast to see what the weather's going to be for tomorrow so we can work out how we're going to get down to Sitka. But Sitka's the next stop, which is very exciting. It's the oldest city in Alaska. It happened to be a city before Alaska even was Alaska, or owned by the United States, so that's really cool. Should be really neat to go check it out, and then we're going to continue our adventure on down Baranof Island.
I thought I was gonna catch one. That was my first cast.
You got a fish on the line there?
I got a fish!
Nice. Just play him in nice and gentle.
Woo!
Alright, I'm going to put this camera down and get the net.
Okay. Yeah!
Good job.
I'm so excited.
You're having salmon for breakfast, I guess.
Yes! So chuffed that we caught a salmon. It's been a couple of weeks now since we've had fresh salmon on board Uinta, and it's absolutely the best treat. We might share some with friends because we're going to be continuing down the coast today. We would love to stay here. It's an absolutely beautiful anchorage. Fortunately, we don't have any time because James needs to be out of the country August 19th, which gives us exactly 2 weeks to boogie it down the coast back into Canada. So we're going to haul up the hook here and make some miles, and I think we'll leave you here this week, guys. Give this one a thumbs up, write us a note down in the comments if you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time. Cheers. Thanks so much for watching, friends. Next week, we'll be picking things up from Alaska's oldest city as we continue our journey south, weaving through thick fog and a very bustling fishing fleet on our way to even more amazing hot springs. We'll be meeting up with our friends on SV Petrichor again, cruising to some really cool destinations here on the wild coast of Alaska. We can't wait to share it with you. We'll see you then.